fear is not the promise of danger. It's just the possibility. Fear is the possibility of danger, not the promise.
It's funny you say that, the word possibility. I was listening to something about anxiousness, anxiety. I was listening, and someone said anxiety is being worried about stuff that haven't happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Which
all
is-
hypothetical.
Which is so interesting
Yeah.
because I've found myself probably since my marriage. In my marriage, anxiety was the first. It up until that point, I never even knew what it meant or how it felt. I swear to, like, I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
I just went through life breathing good,
You did.
and everything was good. And then all of a sudden, but it's interesting because my brief marriage experience was during COVID. So the thought that came into my head when I started not being able to catch my breath, the initial thought was, it's the mask.
Well, that's part of it.
Well,
There's some
that's
major
what
psychological warfare with that. The
Maybe.
whole I can't breathe and now we're all wearing masks and we can't breathe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Very
Yeah.
weird.
So that's what I thought. And then I realized even without the mask, and then I started paying more and more attention to it. And all of a sudden I'm realizing this is what living in a shit situation feels like. That's it. And ever since then, I became so cognizant about listening to how I feel and paying attention and respecting it. Like if I'm doing something, I'm at a point these days where if I wake up in the morning and I'm in the shower and I have a hard time catching a breath, I know something's going on. I might not know in that second what it is, but I start taking inventory.
That's good.
And 9 out of 10 times, very quickly, I can accurately pinpoint, if I'm being honest with myself. It's not always easy to be honest, but sometimes it's things that you're excited about that make you feel that way. And you go, darn it.
that happened
It's probably
today,
not
didn't
right.
it? Oh, I'm just kidding.
No,
You're so excited.
no, yeah. But that's, and ever since then, so it's my brief 8-month marriage that really kicked things off. And ever since then, I've been interested in, with anxiety. But back to what you're saying, it's about being worried about things that haven't happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So you experienced that, like there may have been more to that in your marriage because it's maybe based on history, but it's not a promise.
What do you
Right.
mean?
It's not anxiety is a hypothetical. It's not a promise. It's based on some sort of experience, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen the same way. Like I was worried that you would be upset that we were late today. Right. And I'm like, oh no. And you completely were not. But it's because I've had an experience or many experiences where people have been unfair in their
Right.
punishment towards me.
Right.
Where I'm like, okay, it really wasn't,
Right.
So it's based, it doesn't mean that it's unfounded, but it's all hypothetical.
It's so interesting how we work as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way to understand anxiety and how it's all in your head is to realize that you're not anxious when you sleep. When you shut the switch off, and anxiety doesn't have room. Anxiety only fits when I'm thinking. And when I'm sleeping, I catch all my breaths. When I wake up, my heart starts beating. And then I can't catch my breath because my brain started thinking. But it's all the brain, which is so... Now, I might have a hard time falling asleep because my heart's beating and I can't catch my breath and my brain is thinking before I go to sleep. But once you fall asleep, for the most part, you're not actively thinking, which is really interesting. And that sort of really brought it into perspective where anxiety and my brain operating and being on are linked to each other, and it all starts there. How I feel starts here. But yeah, that out of all the things that marriage taught me, were you ever married?
No.
Yeah, out of all the things that marriage taught me,
Wow.
one of the biggest ones I'm most thankful for is just starting to pay attention to how I feel. And I'm shocked that I never, ever looked that way. I never even paid no attention to it.